I'm not recording. I'm recording. So let's see. I'll know because yes. So we're recording. Soft skills are all the skills that you use in your job that aren't the technical skills. Basically, can you talk to people? Can you write a letter? All that other stuff you learned in communication studies and all of those things, which is actually really, really important stuff. And in this course, it's going to be a lot of the soft skills stuff. So here is a nice little quadrant with some of the skills that you should have if you're going to be an IT service desk, an IT service desk, and IT service management. You would have these soft skills of time and self-management and be able to do these other things. Okay, yeah. So about this, the people skills. I remember that was sort of just a little anecdote for you. When back in the 70s, IBM, there wasn't really many computer science degrees back in the 70s, right? And so these people that were the computer scientists, they were like, physicists or engineers and stuff like that. But IBM found itself when it started getting into a lot of programming. So you don't need to be a physicist or an engineer to be a programmer. The people that they used to hire for programming, well, they would get people with history degrees, arts degrees. You know what I mean? People who'd studied Shakespeare, and these are people who are going to be writing computer programs. And IBM recognized that what they actually needed is they needed people with these sort of people skills, but also critical thinking skills, which is the type of thing that you get from going and doing a university degree. Um, Nowadays, we have very, very focused skills, the technology, and so we do have technology degrees and diplomas, and that's why you guys are here. So our technical support, let me just say on this, and I'm just going through this quickly because we did do this. I want to try and finish this lesson today. And I started it, and so there's a bit of review, and then we'll try and finish it off. But with the technical support, you guys have come across it. Anybody who's called up Arito, they have a very good technical support, but so do the banks, so do travel companies. They are doing what we're trying to talk about in this course. They're providing this customer support for the IT industry. Oh well, you may have come across this idea of internal and external service desks, or here we use the word help desk, but remember the ITIL word is a service desk. So internal service desk is here at the college. If you if you go down, oh, sorry, the service desk, you can actually go and visit. They have a physical location for the IT service department, which is here in Building 10, basically right underneath my office. There is a service desk there, and you can walk up to them. There's also a telephone number you can use. I think it's 2740, and you can talk to them. So that is an internal service desk because it's not providing a service for people outside of CNAQ. It's for students and staff. But they also have links on our intranet. We have an intranet, and they have links there that you can use to get service desk support. And external service desks are the ones that I talked about a minute ago: Arito, your bank, etc. Now, this we didn't mention this in the previous lesson, so I'm just going to mention that quickly. Oh, by the way, you do have a heads up, right? The lesson will end in 40 minutes from the start, and so if I just cut off, don't worry. That's just the way it is. So I hope that doesn't bother you too much. Maybe we can all focus really hard for 40 minutes. And then if there's an activity and we have to do more afterwards, then we'll come back on. But I think 40 minutes is enough. What you're looking at screens there, or the top screen there is actually a screen from a system which monitors a network and produces graphs to let the IT people know what's happening on the network. And by studying those graphs, the IT people can look at it and see where there are stresses in the network and where maybe they have to do some preventative maintenance or to buy some new equipment or whatever. So that's the idea of that system. Is it's to show what's happening on the network, monitoring the network, not just looking for breakdowns, but just looking for stresses so that they can predict and stop breakdowns from happening. Um, so The customer support, what we're seeing here is this idea here of the support desk. That's what this course is focused on. You see that this is from HP. HP offers a particular product or service for a service desk. You can get the HP service desk and install it on your system and use it for your company. And in fact, that's what we use here at the college when we go and put in a service request with the IT people downstairs. They're using this HP software. And so HP software is able to bring all of your service requirements into a package with a database that your IT people can look at and see what they need to do on a day-to-day basis to get things working. Now, there it talks about multi-level support. Multi-level support, we talk about levels 1, 2, and 3, which we have in this slide here. Level 1 is the person who's answering the phone and opening the tickets and closing tickets, etc. They're the first person that talks to the person who has an incident. So they do the incident management. Now, if we want to hire, ideally we'd have such really, really skilled help desk people that they could solve the majority of the incidents as they arrive. And yes, so that's why it's a very important job to be on the service desk, is that we have people that can sort of solve those things pretty quickly. They have a high level of knowledge and good skills working with people. And this is the type of thing that you want to be if you wanted um, uh, to be in the service desk. But there may be some issues that require some change management, some things to change in the system. In that case, we have to hand that over to our level 2 support, which is our service engineers that they also work in the help desk. They're here on site, but they are looking at changes that need to be made to the systems. Uh, if sometimes there are issues that have to deal with the actual hardware or software has something needs to be changed in it. And so then we go to the service providers, the third vendors, the third party vendors like Microsoft. They have a service support. And so we have a number that if you own Microsoft products, you have a number that you can call them and they can help you fix. And this is and it's important for Microsoft to do that, and it's important for their customers. It's important for Microsoft to do that because that's how they find out where a lot of their glitches are in their systems so that they can put together patches and new releases. A service desk or is going to be composed of people, processes, and technology. The processes are going to be governed by some kind of standard like ITIL. The technology, we could have all kinds of things like a service desk software, and we're going to use a service desk software, service desk management software in this course. Um, yeah, so incident management systems, incident tracking systems. We're going to use a system called OTRS, but there's lots of others. And I think I mentioned in a previous lesson, SolarWinds. Yeah. So ITIL, I do remember referring to this slide last time, so I won't spend much time on it now. But ITIL provides a framework to make sure that we are providing the best service management to our customers, and the ITIL service desk is part of that. Um, okay, so it has some special vocabulary, which is just ITIL. So we have these special words that have special meanings in ITIL, like incident and problem. So an incident is something's broken, and it's usually going to be fixed at that level 1 support, or at least within the service desk. Some broken device. A problem is going to require some sort of tweaking of the systems a bit. So we're going to go down to level 2 at least. And service request, again, that could be just at the level 1 support, but it's basically, oh, well, we just need to add a new user or upgrade some software or something like that. Um, Knowledge management system. The idea with a knowledge management system is you can integrate. You got this incident management system, which I hope you know what I mean by that. So the service desk is recording all of their interactions with their customers, and they give it a ticket and a ticket number, and they'll say, okay, when you talk to us again, here's your ticket number. Mention this ticket number, and you give them the ticket number, and they pull it up on their computer, and they can see everything that's happened. Now, all of that's being recorded, but it's not just being recorded as a bunch of text. It'll actually go into a database. Now, what will happen is when the incident is closed, when we close the ticket, the service agent, the IT support person, will make some notes about how that ticket was closed and what was the solution that was given to that ticket. Now, that information, the incident and the solution, will go into a database, and that database we refer to as our knowledge management system. And so the idea of the knowledge management system is that when the next incident like that comes up, maybe another service agent is taking that incident, what they will see is they can search the knowledge management system, and they can find, oh, 2 months ago, somebody else handled a incident which was very similar, and this is the solution. Oh, so there's a ready-made solution. So it can save. It's part of the continuous improvement. It will save a lot of problems in the future, because we are recording everything that we're doing, and we're learning from it. Basically, that's it. And so um, uh, moving on from that idea, we have configuration management systems and change management systems. The idea there is that we can, hold on a sec. Sorry, I'm in a class. Now, which course? Of 1041? Yeah, but we're doing it online. Yeah. Um, Next time I will do it down there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll record this, or you could sit here if you want to be in class. But yeah, okay, so we'll come down. Um, I will record it, and I'll put it up there. I mean, that's the best I can do now. Um, yes, but I did send a message saying it would be online. Sorry. But next time we'll do it in the classroom. All right. So my apologies for that. I will go down to the classroom next time. Okay. My apologies. All right. So I just had two students turn up, and they wanted to come to class in class. So next lesson, I'm going to do it down there. Okay. So my apologies for that. Oh my gosh. Actually, this is the one class that I didn't want to do in the class, because the other section, they don't want to do it. It's a long, complicated thing, and we're running out of time. So yes, configuration management. The idea here is that every time we change something on the system, we record it. So this is just all about recording stuff, right? Network management systems, also how we observe our network performance. You saw the graph back there a minute ago. That was a network management system. Yeah. Okay. So the idea of this graph, and I'm trying to go through this quickly, is that the customer doesn't actually know what's possible. They might think that this is possible, but what's possible is this. And so they're going to be frustrated if they're looking for this and they're getting this. And so part of our job in the service desk is actually to let them know what is real. Somebody said at the start of the lesson, it is what it is. Well, they need to know what it is. And so that's how we do that. Yeah. Some people like to talk to a person. They don't want to talk to a computer system. So that's a problem now in the days of COVID, right? And actually, you probably need to think about this. I wish we had more than 40 minutes on this, actually, because they can do with CGI. I don't know if any of you yesterday morning I was watching this thing, and it was the Lion King thing, and it had these lions. My gosh, it looks so real. Now, there's no way though that they had real lions doing that. That's all computer graphics. You can take a picture of a person. So that's how they did the lions is they got a few pictures of some lions, and then they got some computer graphics to make those lions in all different things, saying all different things. So you can take pictures of some famous person, and then you can do some computer graphics and make them say all kinds of strange stuff. So you need to be careful what you see on TV. I saw so and so on TV saying this. Well, did you? or maybe you're just watching The Lion King. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, now how does this relate to the service desk? uh, the service desk, we could easily, have these sort of fake robotic sort of people that are made up by computer graphics, and with artificial intelligence. Oh my gosh, and you could fool them people a lot of the time into thinking that that was a person they were talking to, and it's really just a computer system. I think we're going there, right? We're going there. But how does that affect us in our work, right? Do we still need us? Do we still need teachers? Um, uh, do we still need people on the service desk, or can we all just do it with a bunch of artificial intelligence and online? You'd probably have to be asking yourself that question now, I suppose, since you're sitting at home looking at a computer, right? You say, well, what benefit does it give me to have Mark talking to me over there when I can't really see him? Why don't I just have the computer do it? Yeah, really. Oh, I got to think about that, right? Anyway, so yeah, that's the world. Uh, Fortunately for me, and unfortunately for you, fortunately for me, most of my life work wasn't like that. Unfortunately for you, most of your life work is going to be like that, and so there is going to be a lot of sort of jobs go to just sort of computer, especially with artificial intelligence there. But that's the idea of low touch and high touch. The idea of high touch is that talking to a person, and the idea in the computer, um, uh, in our service desk, is when people have a problem, they want somebody to understand them. And that's the thing that you don't get from the computer. And that's what I hope I give to you as a teacher. I mean, is does does somebody understand me? And you all know, right? So one size doesn't fit all. What I mean, you all know, is everybody is unique, and your problem, your way of learning is not the same as somebody else's way of learning, and your particular background is not the same. And it's the same when people come to the service desk. They have things which are unique, and they don't want to talk to a computer. They want somebody to understand. First, they want somebody to understand what is their issue, because they're pretty sure that nobody else has ever had that. Now, as a person sitting there in the service desk, you might think, well, I actually, as a matter of fact, I do think that I've seen this issue before. But, we don't say that. It's their issue, and it's unique to them at that moment. And we, as a human being, we try and do some human to human contact and connection and understanding. And that really goes a long way to it. So I guess what I'm saying is, we're not computers. We don't really like being told by a computer. We want somebody to understand us. And most of us don't trust a computer enough to think that it understands us. And so that is, I suppose, where our hope is, that there'll still be teachers, and there'll still be people on the service desk. Um, so if we do a really, really good job of this in the service desk, whatever, then the word of mouth, that's what this is, word of mouth. People will know that we've done a good job, and then we'll have more customers. And that's the idea of that. And the service desk is supposed to do that. The idea of this slide here, and I'm going quickly because we're running out of time. The idea of this slide here is there's a lot of things involved in the service desk, not just one. And you can look at that at your leisure and see all of those things. But the idea of 24/7 support, I know I talked about that, talking to somebody in Cebu when I thought I was talking to somebody in the US, talking to somebody in Egypt when I thought I was talking to somebody in Qatar. Um, the idea of cutting your costs by doing that. Yeah. Post-sale support as opposed to pre-sale support. I don't think we need to talk about that, because our focus is going to be people working in a large organization, I think, taking care of the IT. And that could happen. I mean, you could have a big IT operation, and you could have people all around the world that are part of your IT support, and they're using the internet. You know what I mean? So it's not costing them a lot in telecommunications. I mean, how much do you pay when you sit on the internet and play games with somebody on the other side of the world for 4 hours of the night? Not a lot. And okay, so the points here is that you can get certified, you can get a qualification in being on the service desk. I bet you didn't know that. So you can get, for example, HDI service certified. You can be a help desk professional. Okay, and yeah. And so there's lots of training that you can do. There's lots of jobs on the service desk. Actually, it's kind of a growing area. The ideal of self-healing systems, the internet's kind of a self-healing system. What I mean by that is if there's a link down in the internet, what happens is the traffic just goes a different way. And, that's, I guess, a thing of the future there too. The idea of many different channels in a service desk. SolarWinds, I gave the example of what happens with SolarWinds is they actually, they contact their customers using Twitter and message and through emails. Yeah, outsourcing. I've talked enough about that. I don't want to talk anymore about that anymore. You can have a web system to look at your service desk, and we'll look at that in a second too. Okay, the delivery chain. What I want you to look at this slide is I want you to look at the arrows going left and going right. So the customer comes with an incident, goes to the help desk. It could be that that incident needs to be passed on to level 2. If it does, then it goes to level 2 with some feedback from the help desk, and it could be that incident then also has to be passed on to level 3. Could be, in which case that's where it should be solved. It's going to be solved either at one of these 3 places, and when it is solved, then there'll be some output. We'll go with that to the customer. Customer satisfaction, that's what it's all about. A service level agreement, I'm just going to mention that briefly. We have a whole chapter on service level agreements, so I won't get into it in detail here, but the idea is that you draw up a contract like thing with your customer, and your customer could be the same company that you work for. So the IT department here could have a service level agreement with the college, and basically it says for all of this money you're going to get these services. Yeah. And yeah. So a service level agreement is going to cover the expectations that the customer, for all of these things that that you're expecting, this service level agreement is going to cover those. Responsiveness is a technical term. It refers to the time between when the customer initiates a request to when they get some kind of response back. And so how long are you letting the phone ring? How long after you have an email are you responding to it? So usually these things will be set down in ink, if you like. Well, it won't be ink. It'll be in electronic form, right? But in a PDF or something. But it will be set down as kind of rules that, the phone will ring so many times and somebody will answer it. Your emails will be answered within 1 day, that type of thing. And that'll be in the service level agreement. So I made a big thing a minute ago about we need to be sort of like human beings. That's what people want. They want to be understood in their problem. Why? Because it affects people. It affects you because you get angry, right? Frustrated is the right word. That just go driving down the road and have a whole lot of people cut you off and stuff like that. And then how do you feel? It would be really good if that person then said, look, I really understand how you feel and I'm sorry. All of a sudden you can feel a lot better, right? And, that's kind of what we're doing in the help desk, in the service desk, is we're there to provide that function among others. But to provide the function of, yeah, I understand it's frustrating. The computer system doesn't work. I'm here to help. And there's that old joke, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. It's not that. It's something else. Peer-to-peer support sounds like a great idea, right? Because you're like, we're all peer tutors and stuff like that. What a great idea. We're all going to help each other. Peer-to-peer support, we don't like it in the service desk, actually. So why don't we like peer-to-peer support in the service desk? Because what happens then is peer-to-peer support is going to happen if the service desk is not working up, is not serving the customers the way they want. So we got 10 minutes left. I think we're gonna score this. Yeah. If we're not providing the service that the customers need, they will start providing that service amongst themselves, right? And so they're going to be helping each other and stuff like that, and they're going to be coming up with solutions. The problem with that is those solutions to the incidents are never going to find their way into the knowledge management system, they're never going to find their way into the planning to how to make things better. And so it's not in the future, you're just going to have the same old issues coming up all the time. So we need to sort of get in front of that. So I'm not saying that we need to sort of force people not to solve each other's problems, but we need to be there to solve the incidents rather than them going out and finding their own solution. Because it could be that they're going to make little solutions that maybe work, but only for a little while. And so we need to have a bit longer term view. And so that's what I mean. We need to get ahead of peer-to-peer support. If we see that, I guess what I'm saying is if you see a lot of peer-to-peer support happening, people are helping each other with their little IT problems, that means we're failing in the service desk. We're not doing what we should be doing. Okay, this is all about can do, can do. We can do it. Part of being um, a you know, competent in your work is that we can do what we need to do and we can do it in time. And that's what I was talking about there. About says if we can't, then people will find some other way. Now, there's an old saying. I don't know. In management, you can't manage what you can't measure. And on the service desk, we want to try and measure. We want to try and manage things to be better. And so that we need to measure things. We need to measure things that happen in the service desk. And so some of the measurements are mentioned here. We can measure abandon rate. That is how often, and how many calls are being abandoned, and when. So maybe the phone rings 3 times and it stops ringing. Well, that's abandoned. And so how many times does that happen? Uh, we can measure the severity of incidents. We can escalate incidents. Escalation. This is a really good thing about service management software. Is that we can have a ticket if we are unable to find resolution to the incident within a certain time frame. We can bring more resources to impact it. That's what we mean by escalation. Bringing more resources will usually mean that we send it to the manager or something, because the manager has more resources. They can, instead of having one IT person on it, they can maybe put 10 on it or something like that. Now, the idea of customer satisfaction service surveys and monitoring is that we need to know if what we're doing is helping, and customer service satisfaction surveys can help with that. Okay, and that's about positive attitude. Now, the positive attitude thing, right? What we, yeah, sometimes the user, I mentioned a minute ago about the expectations thing. The customer says they want this, but what's possible is here. Okay, so how do we be positive about that? Well, it's about not using negative language and stuff, right? We say this is what we can do. We don't say, oh, you can't do that. We just say, no, this is what we can do, and this is when we can do it. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a funny. I like that. 1% of your customers are going to die in the next year, probably of COVID. Nah, just kidding. What's the idea of that is that not all your customers are going to stay with you just because you make them satisfied. That's a dumb graph. Isn't it? Anyways, yeah, it's there. The idea of the extra mile. So if you can imagine a situation where by law you have to go 1 mile, and that is a real situation. It was a law in the Roman times that if a Roman soldier who was a Roman citizen, because asked you to carry their coat for a mile, then you had to, But at the end of the mile, then you could give them back the coat and go about your business. Um, Going the extra mile is that anecdote analogy. The idea being, imagine somebody giving such good service that when the Roman soldier asked you to carry their coat for a mile, you carried it an extra mile. Wow. Romans are going to love you, right? So if you think of your customers as the Romans and they're asking you to carry their coat and you're going for 2 miles, then you're going the extra mile. So basically, delighting your customers, giving them things that are more than they expect, Um, yeah, that's the idea of the extra mile, and it's actually a thing. A lot of companies they'll have that as kind of what they want, delighting their customers. And why is it important? Because a lot of a lot of companies are in competitive industries. That is, if their customers don't like them, they can go somewhere else. And so we want the customers to like us. And so what do? We delight them, give them more than they expected. So the idea of a SLA, service level agreement, is, as it says there, to manage the customer expectation. It's written. I won't say in ink because we're now in the days of PDFs and that, but it's written. It's a written document which is kind of semi-legal. I mean, we don't take it to court, but as far as our between the customer and the service desk, it's kind of like it's setting out what is going to happen. Um, yeah, it's kind of like a contract. And I think I'm just about done here. Yes, hooray. Finish that chapter. So that's the chapter on introduction to our service desk. And do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? There's tremendous demand. Okay. I'm going to say there in the summary is that the service desk is a big deal. There's a lot of demand for it. Sorry, students. I'm kind of out of talking at the moment. We still need physical teachers who know how to use that in the beginning so they can teach us about it. Yeah, I hope. Yes. And maybe are you guys, did you go on to